From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the daily news for May 27th, 2026. These are the stories we are covering at this hour. A private reprimand has been upheld for a federal judge accused of having an affair with a police officer. Private reprimand of a U.S. federal judge accused of having an affair with a high-ranking police officer has been upheld by a national judicial panel, according to a report from Reuters. The judge, who has not been publicly identified, is accused of having sexual intercourse with the officer in their chambers within earshot of courthouse staff. The U.S. Judicial Conference's Committee on Judicial Conduct and Disability upheld the Atlanta-based 11th Circuit Judicial Council's February decision on Friday, which detailed how to discipline the judge. Aside from the private reprimand, the judge agreed to forego any opportunity to serve as chief judge in their court location, which was also not publicly disclosed. They further agreed to apologize to any court staff that were interviewed as part of the probe and indefinitely refrain from serving on any judicial conference committee, according to the National Judicial Panel's decision. In other news, at least one person's dead and 9 others are missing in a chemical tank explosion at a Washington state mill. The implosion of a chemical tank at a pulp and paper mill in Washington state on Tuesday killed 1 person and 9 others are unaccounted for, authorities said. Emergency responders were still working on recovery efforts at Nippon Dynawave Packaging Company in Longview, the Longview Fire Department said. Cowlitz Fire and Rescue Chief Scott Goldstein later told a news conference that it was unclear how many workers had been killed. Asked how many remained missing, he replied, "We have information on that, but we're not releasing that information at this time." Among those injured was a responding firefighter. Authorities said some victims had suffered burns or inhalation injuries, and that the severity of the injuries ranged from minor to critical. There was no immediate threat to the public, they said. The statement, issued more than 4 hours after the tank imploded at 7:15 a.m. local time, said crews were continuing recovery operations and that no identifying information would be released about victims pending notification of relatives. President Donald Trump canceled a cabinet meeting at Camp David over possible bad weather. President Donald Trump said Tuesday that he did cancel a planned trip to Camp David to meet with his top team. Based on the possible bad weather conditions tomorrow, we will be having our cabinet meeting in the White House and will be postponing the cabinet trip to Camp David. Trump posted on Truth Social. The meeting to discuss domestic and policy issues comes amid the ongoing war with Iran. President Trump has been to Camp David only once during his second term. And in news from PA, Pennsylvania hits the 10 million tree goal with Hummelstown planting. A Pennsylvania partnership is marking a major milestone by planting its 10 millionth tree in the Chesapeake Bay watershed. The celebration, May 26th in Hummelstown, marks 8 years of work to improve water quality and restore streamside habitats across Pennsylvania's portion of the watershed. The Keystone 10 Million Trees Partnership launched in 2018 with a goal of planting 10 million trees across the state's portion of the Chesapeake Bay watershed. Led by the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, the effort has grown to include more than 320 partners helping to plant native trees and shrubs statewide. Julia Kroll, executive director of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Pennsylvania, said trees are an affordable and accessible way for landowners and residents to support the environment, strengthen communities, and improve quality of life. As we're looking at some of the environmental impacts and why we started this in the first place, really, trees are such a good filter, and they help to absorb and slow down polluted runoff from rainstorms, Kroll explained. Their roots help to stabilize stream banks. That's the news for this hour. The PEP Radio YouTube channel offers daily news updates. Be sure to subscribe to keep informed. PEP Radio is available on the Live 365 app, Roku, Alexa, fmstream.org, and wherever you find streaming radio. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.